This season for the Miami Dolphins linebackers has been a roller coaster, to say the least. It's been frustrating, chaotic at times, and yet, there's been one undeniable bright spot: Jordyn Brooks. If you're watching this Dolphins defense closely, it's impossible to ignore what he's been doing this year. He's the glue holding this unit together while the rest of the linebacker group has been in a constant state of flux. One question looms as we move forward: what's next for this linebacker room, and how much more can Brooks do on his own? Let's start with where the Dolphins began this season. David Long Jr., a name we thought we could rely on, opened as one of the starting linebackers. His season? Short-lived. Long was cut halfway through the year, and honestly, it was hard to argue against that decision. His missed tackles were piling up, and the Dolphins couldn't afford the inconsistency. In his place came Anthony Walker Jr. He's been steady, sure, but let's not sugarcoat it. Walker isn't some game-changing linebacker at this stage of his career. He does his job, but the explosive plays you want out of the position? They're just not there. Then there's Tyrel Dotson, a late addition after being released by Seattle. The Dolphins gave him a shot, but his single start against Green Bay showed exactly why he wasn't sticking anywhere else. His performance was flat, and he wasn't up to the challenge. The constant revolving door at one linebacker spot has been exhausting to watch. And yet, despite all the shifting pieces, Jordyn Brooks has been playing like a man on a mission. Let's break this down, because Brooks deserves the attention. He's leading the Dolphins with 121 tackles. That's not just impressive, it's necessary, given what's happening around him. He's third in tackles for loss with 9 and tied for third in passes defended. Wherever the ball is, Brooks is either there or he's on his way. There isn't a single aspect of this defense where he hasn't had a positive impact. Every tackle, every pressure, every moment he sniffs out a run, Brooks is making his presence felt. And this isn't some fluke season either. This is just what he does. For 4 straight years, he's delivered over 120 tackles and solid playmaking ability. Miami desperately needed this consistency, and Brooks is delivering it in full. Let's talk about Brooks against the run. This is where his instincts and speed truly shine. You see linebackers all the time who get eaten up by blocks. They lose sight of the play, or they just can't get there in time. That's not Jordyn Brooks. He reads the play fast, he finds the gap, and he gets downhill like a heat-seeking missile. Against the Texans earlier this year, there was a textbook moment where Brooks blew up a pinpull run. Tight end Dalton Schultz was blocking down, Laramie Tunsil was pulling into space, and Brooks? He wasn't fooled. He sliced through the defense, dodged a block, and made the tackle before the Texans even knew what hit them. It's plays like that where you realize how special he is. That game against Houston was one of the Dolphins' best performances against the run this year. Sure, the Texans have struggled on the ground all season, but Miami held them to just 42 rushing yards if you exclude one trick play on a fake punt. Brooks was a huge part of that. His tackling has been rock solid, too, just 7 missed tackles all season, according to PFF. Compare that to David Long, who missed 17 tackles before he was cut. The difference is night and day. But here's the thing, Brooks isn't just a run defender. He's also finding ways to disrupt the passing game. Modern NFL linebackers are under so much pressure to defend against faster skill players, misdirection, and play action. It's hard to look great in coverage when offenses are designed to confuse your position group. Statistically, Brooks has allowed 51 catches for 550 yards on 68 targets this year. Those numbers don't look elite, but there's more to it. Most of those plays are short passes where Brooks is giving up space underneath, then making the tackle. He's not getting beat deep, and that's what matters most. Where Brooks has really stood out in the passing game is his ability to force negative plays for the offense. He leads the Dolphins with 15 tackles on passing plays that result in stops, meaning he's forcing the offense into a failure. That's 11 more than any other linebacker on the team. He's also been sneaky good as a pass rusher. His 18 pressures rank 7th among NFL linebackers, and his 13 quarterback hurries rank 4th. Those numbers matter because Miami's pass rush has been hit hard by injuries this season. Jalen Phillips tore his ACL, Bradley Chubb is still recovering, and the Dolphins have been relying on guys like rookie Chop Robinson to step up. Without Brooks' pass rushing contributions, Miami's defense would be in a far worse position. Here's the reality: Brooks is doing everything he can, but he can't carry this group alone. The Dolphins need to figure out who they're going to pair him with moving forward. Anthony Walker Jr. has been a fine stopgap, but at this point in his career, he's not the long-term answer. Miami needs to go out this offseason and find someone who can take on more of the dirty work, someone bigger, tougher, and better at shedding blocks. If Brooks has a partner who can handle the more physical aspects of the position, he'll be freed up to use his speed and instincts to dominate even more. The Dolphins also need a linebacker who can excel in coverage. This skill set has become harder to find, but it's absolutely necessary in today's NFL. With the way college offenses are evolving, coverage linebackers are often coming into the league straight out of the draft. Miami should look for someone who can play in space, cover tight ends, and handle the modern passing game. Another option could be converting a safety into a linebacker role. We've seen teams experiment with that before, and it might be worth exploring, especially with Marcus May already on the roster.